Hi. Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium coach and direct connection to your guides and angels. Through her podcast, Life Clarifications, Natasha will help you navigate through and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever. So let's start another episode of Life Clarifications with Natasha. Hey, kiddo, how you doing today?
Doing well. I think I went through all the full moon energy last week instead of this week,
Well, I tell
which
you,
is grateful because then I can be there for those that are going through it this week.
it has been a wild day around here in my Independence Report land, and we could get into that perhaps a little bit later if you want to.
Oh, yeah, I would love to.
But first of all, how was school? You're a little old for me to be saying that to you, but
yesterday, because there's always these stages, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. Is the intention was to put forth that that our planets, our life, our personal time, we all kind of go through times where we do shadow work. And shadow work, I want to claim it, and it has been claimed as this, but putting my own twist on it, I guess, is that time that we kind of go into those parts of us that we don't really necessarily want to navigate with: frustration, anger, sadness, those I call it the ticker tape that goes along the bottom of the TV screen, in the news scene, that it's all that negative talk.
I can make that happen, but you always get mad at me when I do that.
Because it's distracting to me. But it's like that, and if you want to do it for a second, go ahead, because it is distracting.
Well, let's see the ticker. There you go.
Yeah. So it's that constant things. Now instead of saying please subscribe, it might be saying, oh, that dumb person, or oh, that, why did that have to happen to me? Or, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Or, why does this always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? Why does this always happen to me? And so it's like that constant stuff that's going by. And when we have those times when life really brings up that shadow work, it actually is it's a time to say, wait a minute, why do I tell myself that stuff?
I don't know. Why do you tell yourself that stuff?
Well, it's called being human. It's called our lives bring on stuff from other adults, from life histories, from stories that we heard, from life-altering experiences that we felt like we didn't do very good in. Now, I'm going to label what a life-altering experience is. Life-altering experiences is when something makes a shift from a core thing to another thing. So that could be like a family member that we heard had cancer or died. It could be changing jobs. It could be having a major, oh gosh, things are just popping out of my head like no tomorrow.
What do you need to wipe your forehead off? What's popping out of your head?
Put the crown back on here. So it's with panic attacks, those types of things that when we go through something, it could be as simple as that what we were able to eat, we can't eat anymore. I mean, a life-altering experience is something that makes us do something different, or shifts our perception of something different, or that kind of thing. And when we go through those life-altering experiences, we sometimes get some negative contents to it, especially when we find out we have panic attacks or and anxiety attacks. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't get the other word out of my head now. Anxiety attacks. Those are life altering, and we kind of go, where can we go from here? Well, that's the story that we need to actually change maybe a little bit and get a different perspective. And that's one thing that kind of kept coming to me today was what's the perspective that you have? Hmm, what is the perspective you have about your life? And this, okay, we're in this major experience right now where on in the end of May here, what's the date? It's the 26th, May 26th of 2021. We are going through a full moon lunar eclipse. At the same time, Mercury is going into retrograde. So we're going into something that is shaking us up. And what a gift this could be if we take that perspective.
Exactly. Like for me, the 26th, my phone bill's due. That's about as dynamic as that gets, because it's just a 26. It's just a date.
Mm-hmm.
But
You know,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that I'm grateful that that's what your date is about. There's other things that can come in. I know that for me, the 26th really doesn't have any significance except for me. The planets really affect me. Like this full moon. My coworker gave me the temperature because we have to temp the kids coming in, and I kind of handed it back to her saying, "You don't want me to touch it today.
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
break
zap
it?
it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
because I felt like today was a day I could hold on to something electrical, and I'd be okay." And my walkie-talkie, which I charged for a good, hour in the middle of the day, was dead by the end of the day. So it was like, I have to be careful. Even holding my cell phone, I'm trying to be very careful with.
Well, you've got a lot of energy about you, and you need to. Sometimes you break stuff just
Mhm.
just because of the energy that you carry.
Yes, 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 yes. And we all do that. But, that's the one thing. And I guess, I wanted to kind of get my angel wings kind of here because I think people needed to see my angel wings, but your thing is in the way, but that's okay. Uh
My thing. I'm not exactly sure.
independent my independence report.
Oh, well, hold on. All I see, I'm capable of amazing.
Having magic, it's okay. We don't need it. So there again, squirreling.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And it's okay. You could put it back up. I I
I
just
don't
I
need to.
just felt like that there's something about today that I needed to bring in, wanted to bring in, was asked to bring in just some grace for today. Because there's so much going on. People are going through so much. I have heard so many people saying, "My bucket is empty. My bucket is empty." I'm feeling like nobody's saying good job to me. Nobody is saying you've got it. You're doing you are one of the key pieces of my life or showing it. Like a lot of us aren't being held by our loved ones. You know, we just need a hug. We're not getting our hugs because of COVID. We're almost depleted. Like I used the words today, the candle was almost burnt out. The candle that we use in life, it's almost burnt out. And putting that in perspective that, we're all feeling like our candle may be a little bit getting towards the end. It's called take a breath. And that's what I told on the radio. Somebody even said that was the theme of the show was somebody said you've told almost everybody to take a breath,
Hmm.
to breathe. And I'm like going, yeah, I have actually, haven't I? Because that's what I've been told. Just breathe. When we're spinning, when we're down, when we're having troubles, when we're having those negative thoughts, breathe. Okay, so go ahead.
I was just going to ask you because that is a legitimate issue that a lot of people right now in normal times have, and right now it's really bad. But how do you get people to get out of it? I know how I get out of it for myself, but how do you coach people to get out of the negativity that they the stories that have been told to them that they have embraced wholeheartedly of stuff that just ain't so and is wrong? How do you get them out of it?
Well, there's those things that I say at this minute in time. Now, like today, I had two people in front of me at the beginning of the day and my end of my day at school that were spinning. And the thing when I'm saying spinning is that they just were on this like treadmill of their thoughts, and they just weren't going to stop, and they were just going to roll from one thing to another because they just couldn't stop. So what I did, I said, I stood in front of them, and I stood and I said, breathe. You're in a safe place. Breathe. And what did I do? I breathed and I stayed calm, because that's the way. It's not necessarily that I was supposed to change their energy. I was representing a stopping spot. And when we have those representations of stopping spots, many times that can happen. And then it's like, I want you to know that you're cared for, that you're okay, you're safe, you're in a place that's good. Just breathe. Now, it depends on what's after that. Some people are working through shame. I know that you felt shame. I've known that you felt like you didn't do a good job in your life. Another person in front of me might feel like they're just like they're just needing to go, and I said, stop. We need to just take a moment, get a perspective. Let's just take a perspective here. Some people, it's about saying, honoring them. You are loved. You're going through a life-altering experience. Take a moment and breathe, sweetie. You're doing a good job.
It's good.
And
It's good that you're there to support people like that.
my principal actually told me that today. So, you do a good job.
Well, and you do. You're insightful. You understand the pain that you've gone through, your measure of pain in your life, and other people are. It's interesting to me that I guess the older I get, I've learned to manage such things, because they I don't have a great. Of course, I stay away from a lot of stuff like that too. So, but you can be very, very helpful to people, which is really good.
Well, that's the thing is that people aren't honoring other people where they're at or what they've done. Like I walked up to another student today, and I honored him for what he did yesterday, a choice that he made yesterday. That I said it wasn't easy what you did, but you did a good job doing it. And that right there, like my coworker said, Natasha, you got grace. When you need it, you got it. And that's one thing that I'm grateful that I can do for others. Now, I'm only responsible for the moment that somebody's sitting in with a session or having a moment, or I'm just here to be with someone, because that's just my role in life. And then I give people tools to support them afterwards, like mantras. I ask them actually a lot of times, and I had to do this myself, put a sticky note, write some words. I am doing okay in my life.
Hmm.
I'm asking for grace and ease in my life. I accept who I am in my life. Whatever they need to write down, and you put it on a sticky note on the mirror as you wake up in the morning or by your bed. And then you may want to put a sticky note on your computer if you're working, or some place that you see it a couple times a day. There's sometimes where I put things on my phone, so that I can see it, so that it's at, okay, wait a minute, you're doing it again. Whatever it is that's not helping you move forward. Now, that's one thing that I wanted to circle back around to. Okay, I started here saying that this is a full moon with a lunar eclipse with Mercury going into retrograde. And Mercury in retrograde, I think it's popping in 2 days from now, but yet at the same time, its energy came in 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the date isn't always necessarily when the energy comes in.
So for those people who haven't got any idea what Mercury retrograde is, or why would a lunar eclipse affect you, why does those things happen?
Because we're all made of matter and water, and planets have an energy to them. Each one has a representation of them. And that's a little bit more than what I want to get into here, because you can go into Saturn represents this, different things like that. And the further out planets like Pluto, there's more outer work to do. The closer in planets are ones that we do more inner deep work. Okay. So I'm going to go to the moon since that's our closest. So the moon, a full moon is about endings, finishing up things, completing things. It shakes us up to bring things up, emotions to say, do we need to think about that anymore? Or, I'm playing with that victimhood a little bit more than I probably should. I'm going to take a different perspective on that victimhood. I'm going to cry for a moment. Yes, I'm going to cry for a moment. And then I'm going to say, okay, need to shift that perspective. Okay.
Why do you think that most people take the victim mentality? What purpose does it serve for them?
I mean this with love, and I mean this with grace, and I mean this with ease. That there's many a times when we are doing an action, we get payment emotionally, physically, and spiritually for that action. So many of us make, as kids, well, if I scream or yell around the house, I'm going to at least get somebody to yell at me. So that means I'm getting attention. So they've learned a negative action gets actually some attention. So that's why I go around and I try to reward people, like the student that made a decision yesterday. I tried to go today and say thank you very much, and you did a great decision. And I know you were triggered, and it took a lot to make the decision you did, because I want to reward him for a good interaction. So that seed can be planted. He doesn't have to do a negative reaction to get a new reaction. Now, some of us have, let's say, illnesses that get us to have attention. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I had a shoulder thing where I have a hard time vacuuming, painting, doing upper work. I get migraines, arms. Well, my body decided to get painful so that I didn't have to do certain things. That was my payoff. The pain that I got had my family do things for me. And then I had to decide, wait a minute, there's a correlation here. I'm having a physical reaction, so I don't have to do something. Okay, so body, I understand. We have a scenario here. I am going to talk with you about certain things. Okay, so today we really need to vacuum. But I know that I have to go do something really physical with you tomorrow. So I won't vacuum the day that I have to do it ahead of time. I'll do that 2 or 3 days ahead of time. So we can do things in stages. So I honor my body so it doesn't have to get a reaction to get an interaction. And my body and I are agreeing that we don't have to have attention for being negative. Now, there's sometimes where migraines happen and you get attention, but there's that fine line. Another thing is that, my ankle last summer, I got to a stage where it was starting to heal. Well, it was kind of nice, my husband cooking, cleaning, being off my foot, not being responsible for things. And I sat there and went, oh, wait a minute. It's 3 weeks into it now. I'm at the point where, do I stay like this? Or do I get healthy so I can walk the rest of my life without any problems with my ankle, plus or minus getting older? And so that victimhood, I had to decide. I do like having my husband cooking once in a while. I do like having not to do certain things. So instead of being painful about it, I'm going to have a conversation and say, sweetie, you made some really good meals. Do you feel like making those on days that you're not working? Or a different kind of interaction. So I don't have to be painful to get the benefit of that scenario. So with this full moon, it's about ending certain things that are patterns for us that may feel healthy, but they're really not. Because if I stayed in that pain mode, I wouldn't be able to dance, which dancing is my soul's fulfillment. I wouldn't be able to walk my dog outside, which being outside, it's fun. I wouldn't be able to do certain things. I wouldn't be able to make the living I want to make because I wouldn't be able to drive and do certain things because it was my right foot. So that was my gas pedal. So if I can't drive to go do certain things, I wouldn't be able to do the work I want to do. Yes, there's ways of moving around it, but yet at the same time, the bigger picture of what I want to do, I couldn't do that. And so with that, there is those times when we have to really kind of look at where are we sitting with ourselves? And the full moon that kind of drudges us through certain places to work on that. Now, the lunar eclipse is about bringing light or darkness. Now, it's going to be a red blue moon, a red full moon. There we go. Say the right thing, Natasha. And the red represents new beginnings, burning things up. So with that, what can we do to move forward? What can we do to end so that new beginnings can come up? Okay, now going to a planet in retrograde. So the prefix of re means to redo it. Okay, so the retrograde is a planet. When it goes into retrograde, it kind of drudges us back through what it represents. So Mercury represents communication. It represents electronics, mechanical scenarios. It represents just the overall communication of life, internet, emails, the car working right, phones working right. There's all these scenarios that are happening in our life. So Mercury in retrograde, it's about communication. How can we work through things? So like the last communication, one Mercury in retrograde for me was I had to redo my internet in my house because the internet went down. So I had to redo, which is communication about outside of us, right? Well, the communication I had to do with my electronics was very important. So I had to work on my communication with electronics, my communication with my outer world. Internet is about the outer world. So how could I change that story? Work on my old story of I short circuit everything to, I'm going to honor it today and not touch it when I know that I'm a little zappy. It's not I'm the victim of my electronics going bad. I'm just, oh well, let's move forward through it the best I can. So I changed my perspective. Okay. Now, this Mercury in retrograde is in the planet of Gemini. Gemini represents an air sign. An air sign is about the thinking. It's about the air. Air makes movement. Okay. If it's about Earth, if a planet's in Earth, it's more about slow moving. It's earthbound. It's about slow moving. If a planet is in the sign of a water sign, it's about emotions. And then if it's about fire, it's a little more passionate. It's more fiery. You might have a little bit more anger, more passion, more I can do it. Okay, but this one's in air. So and Gemini is about communication. So we have two signs about communication. So that's why I know so many Geminis are either in radio, they're good at technology, they're librarians, they've got just this able to navigate through so many different places and they're multitaskers, they're good multitaskers. Thing about Gemini that I witnessed is it's a twin. sign. But twin sign means that this twin is, what I've witnessed is if somebody grows up in kind of a negative scenario in life, that twin might be more negative, that they might fall back into emotions, physical, spiritual way they think. Then the other twin is more happy, more upbeat, more moving with life and that kind of thing. So if they kind of lived in a life of more ease, they're going to be more of a happier person. So that, and the Geminis, they might be a little bipolar feeling because of the fact that you don't know which twin's talking to you at a certain time. So with that, when you have somebody in Gemini, so think about that. If we have a planet in retrograde that's about communication and we're in a sign of communication, think about how you are being interpreted. How are people hearing you? How are you communicating? How is this process communicating out there? How are we, which twin is speaking? Is it frustration and anger? Or is it, oh, yeah, I care about that person, don't I? So think about how that this is building up to create a story. Now, like for me, 2 places, there was miscommunication happening, so I just stopped and I breathed to let the moment settle so we can get clarity on the communication. When we can do that, it does help us. So remember, before you send that email, before you send that text, check in to see what your intention is. Check in with the intention. Is the intention to check in on somebody, or is it the intention to say that you're more right than wrong? And it's interesting to see what really is behind that story.
By the way, Veronica says, my husband's a Gemini and I'm a Sagittarius. This will be very interesting. What do you say to her?
Well, sometimes we're in the sign that's in the like if Mercury's in retrograde in Gemini, sometimes that person might have an easier time because it's actually something that they're already used to working through. Other times it's that side, 2 sides of the coin, same coin, 2 sides, or it might dredge up a lot of static. Okay.
When you say static, what do you mean?
Just unease. Things are just complicated. You want to say blue, and the other person says, "But I wanted red." You know, it's just staticky. Things aren't in sync. No matter what we hear, it's always going to be something that's staticky instead of something that's clear. And so with that it could be either one. It depends on what our personal story is working through. Now, for me, like this retrograde is going in, it's starting the right before our birthday times, which is a lot of our family shadow work. So it's going to stir up some things. Okay. Now, you in Sagittarius, remember what Sagittarius is about. That it's about that you guys like truth. You like to find the truth, but you also kind of tend to be wanting to know that you are the truth. So your sign is a little bit of a teller of what truth can be. Depends on what your perspective is. Are you the one that's got the truth, or is it you're trying to show the truth to someone? Or a truth to someone. Because sometimes we think that our truth is the truth, and it's actually a truth. So there again is checking with the perspective and checking in with your intention.
And most people have trouble with that because most people believe their truth is the truth. It is. It's the truth. Boy, I tell you, it's the truth.
It's a truth. And I even have a truth. When I know something is in my core, It's a truth. And somebody else is going to have a different perspective. Now, the only time that I really know that I'm speaking truth is when I'm speaking love. And that's usually when I get tears coming out of somebody. Like somebody today said, just stop, because I knew that it was that moment where she was being heard. And she didn't want to go there. She was still riding the ride of spinning. And she didn't want to go there to just, you heard me.
Sometimes being heard is difficult
It
because
is,
you're not
especially when
used
it's
to
in
it.
that moment.
Yeah, especially when you're not used to it.
Hmm.
And most of the time we're not used to being heard. We're not used to, and that's why when you were standing in front of those two people, that was an important moment for them because they felt like you cared. And most people, honest to God, don't give a rat's ass about what is going on in somebody else's life because they're too busy spinning about their own life.
Yeah. And I'm not perfect at it by any means. And I don't know what their perspective is that I was doing. I just know what my perspective, my a truth was, and what my a intention was. Now they have another a intention and another truth. So it all depends on what we're working with. I have an understanding though that if I check in with my intention and know that I'm doing this for loving greater good, that it rides a different ride through through those scenarios. People can't call me that I am totally wrong. They can say, "Well, you didn't do it the way I wasn't ready for that. You didn't need to step in." Well, no, I know I didn't need to step in. Okay. Okay. These two examples I was asked to. So I stepped in where I was asked. Try to check in with that a little bit more often. Step in where I'm asked to step in, not where I'm told to step in or where I think I should step in.
Well, that's actually a pretty good rule of thumb. It's
Mhm.
it's a good way to avoid getting punched.
It really is. It really is. Um,
Because if you step in where you're not wanted, sometimes you'll get mind your own damn business.
mhm. Yeah, and a lot of people try to do that. I always I keep putting in that scenario in my life of whose movie am I in? Am I in my movie or am I in somebody else's movie? Somebody else's life? Am I trying to play their lead role in their movie? I just need to be a supporting role. Sometimes I'm just one of those actors that just sits in the restaurant and somebody walks by. It's like sometimes I don't need to be totally in their story, and that's even my own husband. That's even my own life. I'm having a scenario with my own cat that represents that. I just need to sometimes just sorry, I'm gonna walk by and say I love you and keep walking.
Have you ever had the thought like nothing is real, and this is that everything is a in your within your imagination, and that the people that you come in contact with, and none of that's real. You're nodding your head, so I assume you have.
Actually, that is a role that I kind of okay, so The Matrix.
I was going to bring the Matrix up,
Yeah.
actually.
So are we in the Matrix or not? I don't really care. I know I'm a physical being doing what I'm doing to learn the lesson I'm doing. If somebody says I'm in the Matrix, I don't really care. I don't care if I'm one of the mice in the big picture. I just know that I'm here in this lifetime. I've got great guides that are supporting me. I have a great team that I'm doing the work, and I have so long I'm going to be here. So I'm going to make the better of it that I can, which is about having a perspective. What is this here to teach me?
But wouldn't
So
it be
what if
great to?
I'm in the matrix? And if I get pulled out of the matrix tomorrow, oh well.
But
At
wouldn't it
least
be
I know
great
I
to?
did my best when I was here.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be great to fly like that? That would just be that'd be
In
the.
another
Yeah,
dimension, we are.
I know, but those are non-physical dimensions. In the physicality that we have here, you cannot convince me that me weighing 200 plus pounds, I can fly without assistance from a machine.
Yes. No, I agree with that. In this dimension, in this physical being, yes. Now, in another dimension, in another physical being, you may be.
If the
So,
rules are different, if the rules of gravity do not apply there, then the rules would be different.
that's where this or that or this perspective or that perspective, we can get into that story. That's the point, though. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't really care because I know right now what's important is to feel loved, myself and others. Like I was saying, a lot of us are feeling like our candle is being burnt down, and it's hard to get that spark, put in a new candle to get that revving back up again. And that's why we're going through a lot of this shadow work, is to go, oh, now I feel lighter. Now I can move forward. I can move forward.
Describe what you mean by shadow work.
Shadow work is the work of, yeah, it's work. It's exhausting. Sometimes you feel like a wrung out wash rag being hit against the wall, coming back out, being stretched back out again, being thrown against the wall, coming back out. Grief does that to you. Life altering experiences do that to you. You just have, oh, it's just exhausting. So shadow work is going through that stuff that we don't really want to look at. It's the negative stuff. It's that ticker tape thing that we talked about at the beginning of the show. It's that ticker tape that goes across. It's that stuff that holds us where we're at. It's that stuff that holds us where we're at. So it's not that moving forward piece. So shadow work. Now, shadow work can be very enlightening if we use it to our better ability. Okay. And there's tools to do that with it. There's tools to navigate through that. So there again is finding something positive to read. Put it on a sticky note around. Make sure that you take care of yourself. So when we're doing shadow work, it's about not necessarily going and having, it's okay to go get some ice cream, but I would say get a little container and not a whole gallon, to eat the whole gallon and then feel like crumb afterwards. You're already feeling like crumb going through shadow work. So reward yourself by treating yourself without sabotaging yourself. Okay. Shadow work also makes us hurt. It's painful. We have the perspective that I'm being beaten up. I'm really being beaten up, and we're not going to be doing good. Or why the heck do I go through this? Actually, it's hell. Why the hell am I going through this? I don't have Nathan to bizz me. We have all these things that are navigating through us. Why? Why? But that's okay. Now, I would suggest writing something down that's positive, but also if you need to, and then get rid of it. Rip it up. Be angry. Rip it up. Like I told this coworker, have you screamed in a pillow lately? She goes, no, I kind of need to, don't I? Yeah.
Screamed in what?
A pillow.
Oh.
Hit a pillow. Do something that's physical to get rid of this stuff. And then start asking, what is this here to teach me? Oh, boundaries. Everybody's beating me up. Everybody's wanting me to do things because I'm afraid to tell no. So I'm getting passive aggressive about people wanting me to do things because I'm not able to say no. Or there's the thing about, self-love. Oh, yeah. Everybody else, I'm telling everybody else that they're beautiful, but I forget to tell me. So there's these stories that we're telling ourselves. How can we do that? By shifting what we're doing. Now, there's one tool that I use that helps me get a perspective on things. And I love using this, Louise Hayes's Color and Numbers. So I have an understanding that there's certain times, certain dates in my life represent certain things. So we can get a numerology, like the number of our year. Okay. And then we can get the number of our month and the number of our day. So like today, I forget what year I'm in. 4. I'm in what is the universal year right there? I'm in the universal year. So it's a 4, I think. So in a 4 year with my number month, but I know that I'm in my 9th day of the month, the number 9, because it's a number cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm in a 9 cycle. So 1 is about new beginnings, and then 2, 3, 4, and 9 is about endings. Well, guess what I'm having? I'm having a 9th day on a full moon with an eclipse as Mercury's going into retrograde. What do I need to say I'm done with? 9 is about done. I'm done. So on a full moon that's saying get done with something, the 9 representing get done with something.
Okay.
So I know that today it's about what can I get done with so I can start new and clean and fresh and getting excited about my life.
So what do you do? First of all, I find it hard to believe that you're not excited about your life all the time.
You didn't see me in tears last night because my cat won't sit on my lap and purr with me.
And it's a cat, for heaven's sakes. Dogs have owners, cats have staff. So it's a cat.
Yes, but I've had 2 familiars in my life. They're
Mhm.
ones that supported me. And these cats are yes, they're their own beings, but there's something that they like my last cat, she would sit on my lap and tell me to sit, and she'd purr, so that would change my energy. The cat's purr has the ability to change the vibration of the being.
Sure, it makes you feel better too.
So that's what cats represent to me. It's that slow purr, something when you're in a life, when you're doing a lot of work for others, that sometimes you need something like a cat. Some people have small dogs. I don't do small dogs. Some people have small dogs that sit in their lap and show them that passionate love. Right now, I'm feeling kind of thin.
How does someone get to the point where they can accept? Well, first of all, the cat was giving you a lesson, by the way.
Yes. Oh, by the way, yes, I get that. And I'm in that process of experiencing that lesson. Yes. I totally 100% knew that the minute I got the cat 2 years ago.
But how do you get to the point where none of that matters? Um, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. You know who you are, and you know what you are, and you accept yourself for who you are, and you do the best you can. And if it ain't good enough, well, it ain't good enough. I tried my best.
Okay, so this is the conversation I was having with myself last night, and I'm sorry about talking about myself here, but
That's all right. There's just you
this
and
is
me
a way
here.
to help people go through something.
Right.
So last night, tearful because I'm missing having a cat. And this cat is a wonderful gift. This cat I have, Ava, she's a wonderful cat. She's feral. I mean, her mom and dad were feral, so I knew that we were coming into this having some independence here. So then I'm checking in. Okay, when I had a cat, I kind of had expectations, didn't I? Yeah, okay. And this reality of expectations is not coming through. So, okay. Okay, so I got to check in with that. Okay, so I had actually expectations, didn't I, Natasha? Okay. Yeah, I had expectations. Okay. Time to shift those. Okay. So now, you know what? I know that I'm just supposed to love her no matter what she is, where she's at. It's about love. Do I expect things back? Well, that's what I got to shift because I was actually really hoping and wishing and my hope button was pretty full of I'm hoping she can be my familiar.
Have you had a conversation with her yet?
Oh, I keep having conversations with her.
And what does she say?
She says she's doing the best she can. She can't.
Because of her upbringing, because of what's in her
Her
blood?
makeup, just it's her makeup. It's, it's just who she is. And I honor that. I honor that. And here again is that fine line between stepping into someone else's life and being with them. Stepping into somebody. So was I trying? I always asked her permission first before I pet her. So now I found out the only time I can pet her is when I'm doing something for her. In other words, her can of food. I give her food every night. It's we have coyotes and stuff around here, so I like to bring my animals in at night. And so it was my one way to manipulate her to come in is I give her some canned food at night. And so she lets me pet her. So I get my 2 minutes, 3 minutes of petting before I have to feed her because otherwise she gets very mad at me. And by the hissing and the growling and and so before she gets there, because I'm not gonna feed her when I'm not gonna pay her for having that attitude with me. So I pay her for having loving attitude with me. So that's the only time I really get to pet her, and I'm okay with that. I'm getting okay with that. I'm working on being okay with that.
Have you thought about letting her be outside at night and joining the ecosystem and then getting a cat that you'd really like?
Every time I think that that's going to happen, she comes back home.
She's a tough cat.
Every time that I thought that she was going to, because that's one thing that when I got her, I knew that I was going to vaccinate her for the first year and make sure she was fixed. So if she didn't come home, I knew that she was going to be safe. She wasn't going to bring, she wasn't going to bring things forward. And I had this conversation with her or the universe. I knew what role she was going to play. I didn't know how it was going to play out with me.
See,
So that's what I'm experiencing is how is this role playing out with me, which is the lesson. It's kind of like me losing my glasses. I needed to get a new vision. Okay, here I am with a new vision.
so now, what's your relationship with your dog like?
She's more my husband's dog.
Uh-huh.
And I walk with her. I do things with her. She's my husband's dog.
So she doesn't get up on the couch and sit with you and
We don't allow our dogs on the couch.
that's blasphemy, young lady. How could you not allow your dog on the couch?
Well, for one, my husband has sensitivity to animal hair.
Oh.
And so with with there again, like I did earlier in this year, was vacuum underneath the bed. So dust and pat. If he's in it constantly, it bothers him. Like if she rolls around and shakes up on the rug, and if I haven't vacuumed lately, it bothers him. So for us, our animals aren't allowed to sleep in our bed, or aren't allowed upstairs actually in our bedrooms and on our couches and stuff. Plus, too, I don't want to sit in dog hair.
I'm too nice, apparently, because my dog rules my house when I had one. I don't have one now because I don't want him to rule my house.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, but well, I understand. I understand. But what you need is because you got a dog that doesn't care all that much and doesn't want to cuddle, and you got a cat that can't, and so you need now. Of course, if you get another cat, your first cat will probably kill the second cat. So you need to, you know, I don't have an answer for you, Toots.
And that's where I'm finding myself falling into acceptance. If I don't know where to go, I'm just gonna sit here in acceptance and go, okay, I'm here witnessing what's going on. I'm gonna do the better I can, which is just love. And I'm hoping and praying that sometimes somebody can come around and give me a hug and let purr on my lap. And sometimes my dog sits in front of me. Actually, she does this thing where she wants something from me. She used to come and lay her head on my lap, but she zings me. Her energy zings me. I mean, it just irritates me. So I asked her not to do that. And so she turns around, she sits with her back, and she looks and she'll do this to me. she'll look she'll look back, But it's usually because she wants to go run with a ball.
Well, of course, that's what dogs live for.
Yes, it is.
And
So
if
with
you
that,
can't, yeah,
it is what it is. There's these moments where our bucket is not quite full and we're asking just life to help us be that way. And, we just kind of find time that's when things are less than more. Yet at the same time, if we can go into acceptance, that helps. Okay, so I'm going to go back because we're kind of coming up at the end of finding out what number you're on, because that does help. And if you want a clarification, just Google, what does 4 represent? What does 5 represent? What does 6 represent? What does 7 represent? And that can help. Now, I have Louise Hayes' book that helps me. I love Louise Hayes. She's now gone. But she was a gift to really wake us up. So what you do to find your personal number year is you take your birth date. So like, I'm just going to throw out some numbers. So let's say 610. Okay. So if you're in the month of June, which is 6, okay. So you add 6 plus your birth date. So 6 plus 10. So that's 16, right? Okay. And then you take the universal year. So the universal year is 2021. Okay. We add the 2 plus the 2 is a 4 plus the 1 is a 5. Oh, so it was a 5-year. So I'm in a 5-year. So then we would add 5 to that number. So 16 plus 5
is 21.
is 21. Okay. You can't have a double number unless it's like 22 and 11. Those are magical
That would
numbers.
be 3.
So 2 plus 1 is 3. So then that person would be in a 3-year. So then you would add 3. Okay, so if you're in a personal year of 3, you would add, let's say we're in January, you'd add 3 plus 1. So the month of January would be 4. Okay, and then if you have January is the month of 4, then you would add 4, and January 1st would be 4 plus 1 is 5. So then January 1st would be a 5-day for you. And then January 2nd would be a 6-day for you. January 3rd would be a 7-day for you. January 4th would be an 8th-day for you. January 5th would be a 9-day for you. So each time it starts.
And what does 9 stand for again?
9 stands for endings.
What does 8 stand for?
8's about the infinity sign. So 8 personal year is about harvest time. It's about which you begin. You can kind of keep it going. So it's about that, keep things moving forward. It's a good year just to kind of be at peace because it's before the endings. Because remember, every ending is a beginning of a new beginning. And if we can just know that every ending is the beginning of something new coming into our lives. So me accepting where my cat is, accepting what she is only what she is, and then our relationship can move on. I'm not forcing her. When I'm petting her, I'm not forcing her. I'm not forcing my energy on her. I'm just accepting what she is. Okay, so she just wants me to walk by her. Okay. I think I overstimulate her. My energy overstimulates her, and so I can understand. It's like me holding batteries. It's like, I just short circuit it. Okay. So for me, that makes sense. So with that when we can do that, we can really get into the flow of what we're doing. Now, for her, she represents it each color. So now, like if tomorrow will be my 1 day, so I'll wear red. Today is a 9-day, which is pastels. So each day has a representation. Now, if you have a day that turns out to be 11, so 11 is that kind of that universal wow day. You can have magic in that day. And that's a day where you can wear grays, blacks, whites, and you can add anything you want. It's just kind of that magical day. Now, and if you have a day that ends up being a 22, that's another magical moment. The double numbers like that, 33, 44, 55. Those are all real magical moments, and you can wear what you kind of want to wear. It's that extra ability to be.
That's got to be a woman thing, because most guys I know never think in terms of any of that when they pick the shirt that's clean.
And I can understand that. Now, for me, the way that sometimes when I start out the day is not the way that I end the day. And so for me, this helped me kind of come together. That if I knew that I was going to wear a certain color, I didn't stand there in front of my clothes going, what do I want to wear? I don't even know who I am. What do I know if I want to wear? Because half the time I put on something at 8 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock I want it off because it's not who I am anymore. So at least when I'm wearing something that is of the color, I feel like that it puts me in at least, in a stick shift of a car, fourth gear. I can move forward. It gives me something to move forward with. It gives me a tool to feel complete. It just kind of clicks me in the beginning of my day. So I really. Oh, go ahead.
I just was gonna make a snide comment and say, did you throw your husband out of the closet? Does he have any room in that closet?
Mm.
Oh, that's nice.
Actually, he has his and I have mine. It's just the way our house was set up.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you are. There you are. So that's good. Yeah.
No, I'm not that kind of person. I wouldn't. We're a team. It's like he needs space, I need space. Kind of like when I have this room here. So when our last child moved out, he got her room. Actually, I was like, you got to move into that room. Come on, let's make that room yours. So he put his workout stuff up there. He put a lot of different things up there, made it his room.
Oh, very good. Well, but he's got a pool table in the other room.
He's got a man
cave. He's got an honest to goodness man cave.
He does, but he needs a man cave. Everybody needs a space. Everybody needs time for themselves. Everybody needs that breath in their life somewhere. Like for me, there's things in this room I couldn't put in the rest of my house because the rest of the house is we. This is me. And so I can make this room myself. Now, me being the person that I am does have influence through the house, don't get me wrong, but there's certain places where I made it more us, not just feminine like this or spiritual like this. So it's nice to have each. Like I don't tell him how to do his man cave, or I didn't tell him where to put pictures in his the room where our kid used to live or be. It's just that moment where we're doing things and moving through things that we all need our own space, kind of like my husband golfing on Saturday morning because he's worked all week. He deserves time, just like he can't tell me to get out of bed before a certain time because it's my time.
Well, I'm glad after 30 years you guys have reached the compromise to make that work.
Actually, that's something that my only child self made sure that was pretty quickly in our relationship. He knew I wasn't a morning person from day one.
Well, that's good. That's good. Got some cards for us?
I do. I want to say thank you, Veronica, for chiming in when you did. And I'm grateful for anybody and everybody who listens to this, because that's why I do this, is because we're all in these moments of feeling like our candle is burnt down sometimes. And if we just understand the why we're feeling this way, because I know this full moon is really bringing up some anger issues, and it's adding quite a bit of and my love goes to you. Just remember, scream into a pillow. Go out and scream in the backyard. Just don't kick the dog. Be kind to those around you, but it's okay to be angry around you. Two things. Scream and yell. Stomp your feet. Listen to some music to get it out of you. Just do something to help. Okay, so these are the Doreen Virtues fairy deck. So what I'm doing is I'm shuffling. I'm asking the question, what can we do to What can you do? What can you say to help us through this moment? Because I know this moment shall pass. They always do. They always do. Okay. Top card. So I heard in my own being use the top card. Okay. Summer. Everything. So this is the summer card. Okay. Everything that you're asking for becomes yours in the summertime. So, in other words, we are close. A lot of us are working through life altering experiences. If we look at what life is trying to show us, many times we'll get a quick result. But what is our intention? If we're thinking negative thoughts, are we going to get what we truly want? So, the more positive thinking you are, the better you're going to get. Like for me, I've been lighting candles saying, I would love to support those around me. Please bring in new clients for me. Bring in clients that I can help move forward with their life. I'm getting busier because my intention was to be calm and accept. Summertime. Okay. So now I'm looking here. Wait a minute. This card. So there's a card that caught my eye, and now I'm going to it. And it's upside down, which means that we're not in the flow. If we change our perspective, we'll be more in the flow. Assertiveness. Assertiveness was upside down. Stand up for your beliefs and only say yes if you really want to. Okay. So with this, I want you to look at the picture of this fairy. Where is her intention? Where is her energy field? It's in her heart area. She's getting inspiration from above, right? She's getting love from above. But where is she bringing her assertiveness from? It's not what the mind wants. It's about what the being wants. So be assertive. It's like me standing in front of people and witnessing them. I'm not assertive and overpowering them. I am being assertive by being a strong place that they can just say, oh, thank you. And feel that representing back to them. I was a good representation back to them. So be assertive, but check in with your intention. So we can turn it around and do things the other way. Okay, so I'm hearing 3 in my head. So now I'm going to go back. I'm hearing. And when you get in tune with your cards, there you are. So I was told to keep going, and now it's this one here. Daughter. So your answer to your questions involves your daughter. So for those that have a daughter, or I'm being told this is about also our inner child. Check in with your inner child. We all have one. Many times when we're adults, we hear our inner child by screaming and yelling, but you're not hearing me. Check in. Is that your inner child that's saying it's not being heard? Or is it something else going on? So our inner child is speaking up a lot lately because many times when we were children, we were not heard. We were not paid attention to. We were not giving grace. We were not giving what we were needing to. So your daughter, your inner child, is involving that. So check in with the other women in your life. Check in with who we're interacting with, because there's some answers in that person. There's some answers and let's say if my daughter texts me and said, Mom, I love you. Well, that would be a great representation that they are showing me that I am loved. Or asking me something else, and I might have to check in with my boundaries. Okay, I need to work on my boundaries. So with that, check in to see who around you of the feminine is giving you some information that can help you in your life. And know that you are so loved. You are so loved. We're all going through something. So just know that just treat yourself with kindness, because that's the only way sometimes we can make it. Light a candle if you need to show there's light and love in this world. Maybe sit down and take a few minutes and read a book that you haven't read for a while, or sit down and maybe have that small bowl of ice cream that you've really been wanting to, if you can. For me, it's going and getting the dairy-free chocolate chips. So find something that just kind of fills you up so that you can breathe, because we're all going through something. We're all going through something.
So there.
So there.
Anything you'd like to, is that any last comments, my dear, before we go?
I think that's a good one, because I think that we're all in this moment, and just remember that there is a purpose for things. Check in to see what that purpose is. Even if it's like my coworker had a squirrel that kept looking at her one morning, and I said, well, you know what squirrel represents? Boop. Oh, the card popped off. So it jumped off. Autumn. So in the fall season, everything comes together as you reap wonderful harvest and of abundance. So remember, keep moving forward. Time will show you some answers. Time will show you answers. Check in with your intention and your kindness for yourself, though, too. Okay. Blessings to you. If you're looking for a session, remember you can reach me at angelicclarifications.com.
Every darn day.
Every darn day. I am.
All righty. Well, everybody have a great day and be kind to one another, because each other's all we got. We'll see you next time. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.